Hey, what's going on guys? It's me, Aiden, from Cartoon Apocalypse, and today we got two new episodes, kind of like four because each of those episodes was split into two, but we got two new episodes of Star vs. the Forces of Evil today. We're getting one every single Sunday, all throughout March and all throughout April, so if you weren't aware of that, there you go, new info for you I guess. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about four of the episodes that came out today, or well, it was two, but I'm just going to classify them as four. It's kind of confusing, but it was basically four episodes. Now, unlike last week, I'm not going to be making four separate videos on each of these new episodes, because first of all, that took my entire day. It took so long to do. And two, all of these episodes that were released today all kind of focus around a similar theme, with the exception of Down by the River. The episodes were mainly talking about how people just don't like Eclipsa, and how Eclipsa isn't really fit to be queen. That's the two biggest points that were in these episodes. Of course, with the exception of Down by the River, that was pretty separate, but there is like one little thing in there that I can add to this idea. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about today how Eclipsa is not fit to be queen. It's not that she's evil, it's just she's not fit to be queen. And we've already seen this through the previous episodes of Season 4. She's just not meant to be queen. That's just the thing. And I'll talk about this more, and I'll go through each of these episodes bullet by bullet that I have written down, talking about like how this ties into how Eclipsa is not fit, and just things like that. So I'm going to be going through Yada Yada Berries first, and then Down by the River, then Ponyhead Show, etc. Also while going in chronological order, so that it makes the most sense, and then at the very end I'll just kind of recap everything and tie it all back together. If you do enjoy this type of content, you can leave a like and subscribe for more, because I make content on Star. If you like the content, you can subscribe. Also, we do have a Discord where you can come talk to us, me, anyone really in the fandom. We have good conversations in there about Season 4 and theories and things, so I would recommend going to join that if you are interested in that. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Yada Yada Berries. Now, in this episode, we learned that Eclipsa's food had yada yada berries in it, which when you ate them turned you to stone. Now, you might not think at first like, well, that's not really a big deal. Yeah, she got poisonous berries in her food, but the problem with that is she just let it happen. There was no security whatsoever. She was inviting just people in to eat with her, and that's her biggest mistake in that, because if somebody, in this case, like almost the entire kingdom, if they don't like you, they are going to try to get you. Like we see in the end of the episode, there are a whole bunch of people who just wanted Eclipsa to be turned to stone. And that's not good to just have those kind of people just walking in your castle being like, hey, yeah, Eclipsa, I live here now, get turned to stone. Like, that's just not good. And that was a big mistake on Eclipsa, because she could have been turned to stone, and unlike Glossric, I don't really think she can just unstonify herself. So she just like risked a whole lot, and I think that queens need to be more cautious of things like this, especially if your popularity is like at 0%. So, and Eclipsa acknowledges that nobody really likes her, so like, why did she? I don't know. That was just a big mistake, and something that, like, a mistake that a queen shouldn't really be making. And at the end of the episode, speaking of all of those people that were locked up and things, there were even some monsters there too. Why are there like, Eclipsa is trying to make monsters and humans, equal and things like that. So most of the people who are locked up here are humans, but there are some monsters. Like, why? I mean, we saw Ruben, and he was there because he had to eat from a dog bowl, but what about the other monsters that are there? I don't know why they're there, but they have a reason for being here. And if Eclipsa's getting on the bad side of monsters and humans, then that's just not good, because she's trying to at least improve monsters. And I mean, if you improve one side, you're probably going to make the other side worse, because Eclipsa, again, is not very popular. But just, she's decreasing her popularity in not only the humans but also the monsters, and that's just not a good sign. Now, I want to bring up this quote from Eclipsa: "There will always be people who don't like you. If I locked up everyone who hated me, there would be no one left." And that's that's like just her admitting that nobody likes her. And really, you're not gonna get anywhere if nobody likes you. If nobody can agree with you and side with you on anything, then you're pretty much just a dictatorship, because I mean, the public vote's gonna vote you out, and since you're the queen, you're kind of forced to be in there, and if the people don't like you, that's just you forcing them around, and that's not good. That's just, she's not meant to be queen, and I'll keep, getting these points out here. So Eclipsa knows that nobody likes her, Star knows that nobody likes her, pretty much everybody knows that nobody likes her, but the thing is, Eclipsa still wants to gain their trust, and that's why they let them go at the very end of the episode, and that's good for Eclipsa trying, and that's a very common theme that we see throughout these episodes, that Eclipsa is persistent. She says that she wants to get better and improve and all this stuff, but if what she tries to do doesn't work, then she's kind of out of luck there, because she can keep trying, but if it doesn't succeed, then you're just gonna be stuck. Now those were the biggest things from Yada Yada Berries, and let's go ahead and talk about the one thing from Down by the River. Now this one thing in Down by the River is basically how Eclipsa just let the monsters move into this house that originally was taken over by the humans, but now since it was the monsters, Eclipsa's just like, yeah, the monsters can have this back. But the humans that were previously living there don't have anywhere to go. Eclipsa didn't say, okay, well, now they need a place to live. And they do mention later in the episode that Queen Moon just gave them a place to live and just gave them food, things like that. And Eclipsa's not doing any of this for them. She's not helping them survive. She's not caring for her citizens of Muni. And that's something that a queen needs to do, because, I mean, for one, if you're not caring for your citizens, your popularity is going to go down. And two, you're not going to have any citizens. If they can't take care for themselves, they're not going to be able to survive, and you're not going to end up having any citizens at all if that continues to go. So Eclipsa has a lot of work that she needs to do to actually become like a better queen, because right now she just isn't a queen. She's really just a princess, but without like an actual queen. Star's pretty much that queen right now, and Eclipsa is basically like the princess, because Star's doing all the work, it seems like. And Eclipsa needs to learn like how to be queen. Again, she just isn't fit to be queen at the moment. Now, that's not saying that she can't improve and can't grow to become a queen, but at this point in time, she's just not meant to be a queen. Alright, so that was the stuff from Down by the River, and now let's go ahead and talk about the Ponyhead show. Now the first thing in this episode that really had Eclipsa in it, again, I'm not focusing on the Ponyhead show itself, I'm focusing more on the Eclipsa's aspect of it, but one quote that I want to bring up from Ponyhead and then Eclipsa is Ponyhead says, "Your guitar is made out of dead people," and Eclipsa says, "It looks cool." Now here's the thing. Eclipsa is not thinking about what she needs to do. If she wants to gain popularity, she's gonna have to start doing stuff that her subjects will enjoy. If people look at her guitar and say, that's made out of dead people, that's not a good sign. They're gonna be like, okay, this lady's kind of crazy. Who did she kill to make this guitar? Ponyhead made a really good point here. And that's saying that Eclipsa just can't do something because, oh, I think it looks cool. If everybody else thinks you're crazy for it, then you probably shouldn't do it, because people are going to start not treating you like the queen and start being like, okay, well, if she's going around killing things to make her own guitar, a guitar that can easily be made out of something else, what else is she going to do for something important? If she needs food, is she gonna go around killing humans? We don't know. And I mean, she's a vegetarian, but just that's the kind of mindset that somebody might be put into when they see, oh, well, this guitar is made out of bones. And that's something that Eclipsa needs to learn, is that there's more to just owning a kingdom than just saying, oh, I own a kingdom. You have to please the people who are in the kingdom, or else they're gonna start not obeying you, and they're gonna revolt. Now later in this episode, Star says that they should just cancel the show, whatever, and then she says, but this is a disaster. And then Eclipsa says, how is that any different from the rest of my life? At least I get the chance to formally introduce myself to my people. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, I mean, she wants to introduce herself to her people, but this is not the right, place to do it. The people are being forced to watch a show. First of all, it's a Ponyhead show, so people are automatically just gonna hate it because it's Ponyhead, and they're being forced to watch it. That is not how you want to introduce yourself to your people. If I make you watch something, you're not gonna want to watch it, unless if I'm forcing you to watch something that you enjoy, then you're not gonna want to watch this. It's a Ponyhead show, so people are automatically not gonna want to watch it. So just having Eclipsa, another icon of something that they don't like, it's not a good mix to put that on something that, because it's like they're being forced to watch Eclipsa try to gain their trust and popularity, but that's not the way. You shouldn't force people to like you. That's pretty much what Eclipsa is trying to do here. Now, if it was something like, okay, I'm going to go out to them, I'm going to, gather, make a town hall meeting or whatever, people can come and go as they please. If they want to come listen to me, then fine. If they don't, then that's their loss. But just making them watch something forcefully is not a good sign. And the other thing about this quote, how is that any different from the rest of my life? That's a whole nother story, because if your whole life has been a disaster, then you probably need to fix it. She hasn't been doing too many things to fix it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, she's trying now, and she's attempting, she wants to improve from what we see. But at the moment, she shouldn't be queen while she's just trying to improve herself and just improving to be queen. It just doesn't work. You need to learn, you need to grow up. Eclipsa feels like a teenager right now, and she just needs time to herself to learn and grow. And somebody else needs to be queen, because Eclipsa obviously can't handle it right now. And when Eclipsa first walks on stage, it's pretty awkward, so she's not really used to getting out in front of people. And that's another thing that a queen, I mean, obviously when you're first starting out, it's going to be a little bit awkward, and you have to learn to, have more self-confidence and things, but it's just showing how inexperienced Eclipsa is. And then I did want to read off the lyrics to her song, because it does kind of describe how she feels a little bit, so I'm going to go through that now. So the lyrics read, imagine waking up to a world turned upside down. So that's just showing when Eclipsa was uncrystallized, everything was kind of in chaos with the Fritz and things like that. And suddenly you have the crown. And that's just showing how, since everything was still, being weird and they were fighting Meteora, Eclipsa just suddenly has the crown. So this is showing that Eclipsa has just been given the crown, and she hasn't really had any time to prepare and things like that. And that's okay, but right now is her downtime. There's not really anything too big, so right now is when she needs to learn and things like that, but we're just not going to focus on that too much right now. Here I am, this is me, broken-hearted but finally free. So she's saying pretty much from here I am, this is me. She's not going to put on a mask and say she's someone she's not. She's going to be herself when she's being queen. And that's not necessarily a good thing. And I will touch on this a little bit later. But people want a perfect little princess and a perfect little queen, just like Moon said to Star in Face the Music. And Moon's learned that, and Star has slowly learned that, but Eclipsa hasn't. And she's just going out here being herself when people don't really want that. People want this perfect queen that people can rely on and thinks gonna do everything right, things like that, and Eclipsa's just not delivering that. Broken-hearted but finally free, that's pretty much saying how she's missing Globgor, but she's free. And then she says, never quite fit the mold, just not great at doing what I'm told. So again, she's saying she's not the perfect queen, and she's not good at following directions, and just she wants to do things her own way, and oftentimes it's not really the best way. Now I'm here in your world, so much bigger from my point of view. So Eclipsa is just saying how she was once in her own world 300 some years ago, but now she's here in this whole different world, and she feels small. Like you can compare it to her feeling like an ant in this giant world. She has no idea what things are like anymore. She's been gone for 300 years, so there's a lot of things that she doesn't know. So of course she's going to not be very good at being queen because things are so different now, but that's the problem. Again, she needs to take time to learn about these things before she handles the responsibilities of being queen. What she needs to do is just hand the crown over to either Star or Moon, because right now they'd do a better job at this than she would. Centuries from my home, can't go back, so let's start something new. So again, saying how she's been crystallized for 300 years and she can't go back in time because it just doesn't work like that. That would just change everything in history. So she's saying, alright, let's just try something new. Here I am, this is me, open-hearted, I proudly decree. So this is saying how she's not like evil, but again, it's not the fact that she's evil, it's just she's not fit to be queen. Now as queen, I am yours. Let's make magic and reach for the stars. Let's make magic and reach for the stars. So now she's basically just saying, like, I'm your queen now, let's work together. But the problem is, humans don't like to work for their things. They like to be given everything. Like in Down by the River, those people were just kind of given a house, given food, etc. They didn't have to work for too much stuff. They didn't know how to survive on their own because they weren't really taught. And Eclipsa is asking these people who are used to not doing anything, not doing much, just kind of being given everything, to start, helping make this kingdom bigger. And that's a lot to ask from people who haven't really had any experience, so there's some issues there. So after Eclipsa's song, the people still don't give it a good rating, whatever. It was probably just because of Ponyhead in the beginning, and not to mention they just still don't like Eclipsa. And Eclipsa says, I don't have any regrets. I'd rather be hated for who I am than liked for who I pretend to be. And like I said earlier, this is not necessarily good, because, again, people of Muni, they don't want you to be yourself. They want this perfect queen mold, just like Moon said. And that's not what Eclipsa is going to give them. And if you're not going to give people what they want, they're not going to like you. And that's Eclipsa's biggest problem, I think, right now, is she needs to improve her popularity. And right now, she's just not doing good things to improve that. Now, there was one girl at the very end. Her name's actually Rosemary. Darren confirmed that on Twitter. But basically, she's the only person who really liked the song. She gave her song a good rating. And that could be foreshadowing, like, oh, well, maybe her popularity will increase, things like that. And I think that there is a chance, and they probably will, just saying of the direction of the show that it's going in right now. But it does show hope for Eclipsa, and she's trying to improve, and if she keeps doing what she's doing, maybe slowly but surely, she will gain some more popularity. So now let's go ahead and talk about surviving the spider bites. Now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit just to get to the more important things, but the spider bites' problem is mainly Globgor. In this episode, they show that Globgor seems really evil. Queen Spiderbite really goes in depth in saying like how all of these things really are evil. That's a death dance. These works of art is kind of like bad. Just all of these things are raising a lot of red flags for just everyone in general being like, well, Globgor, I mean, we know that Eclipsa said that he wasn't so bad, but we haven't really heard the opinion of anybody else. And Eclipsa, from what we see, tends to be a little bit more lenient in what she calls good and evil. Like what she did to Romulus, like she has some pretty evil spells in that. And she just thought, okay, well, it's okay if I'm just trying to get what I want from Romulus. But to us, that's like, those are some pretty evil spells. You shouldn't be doing that just to get what you want. And if Eclipsa has the same point of view for Globgor, does that mean that Globgor is actually more evil than we think he is? We don't know. We'll just have to keep finding out more about Globgor. Now I do want to bring up a quote, that evil witch doesn't care about anyone but herself. And then King Spiderbite said, we all heard about what happened between her and Romulus. So at the moment, what we see is that Eclipsa mainly just cares about herself, and that's what she's trying to improve, what we learn at the end of the episode. But to everybody, it seems like Eclipsa is just doing this for herself, for Globgor, etc. Because all of pretty much everything in the Monster Temple is geared more towards Globgor. There's not really, too many human history things. It's all about Globgor and the monsters. And Eclipsa is a butterfly, and, humans and monsters, that's kind of the goal here. But really, we don't see too many human things in the Monster Temple. It's just monster stuff. And that might be some red flags. Like, maybe Eclipsa's more monster than we think, and she just doesn't like humans. I don't know. Maybe she's just putting on a facade, being like, haha, yeah, I actually do hate humans, and now I'm going to kill you all and eat you with Globgor. I don't know. Maybe she's gonna do that. I have no idea. The second part of what I talked about in those quotes is that everybody knows what happened to Romulus. And Eclipsa said, I'm pretty sneaky, but obviously not sneaky enough, because now everybody knows, and that's not good for her reputation. Now, Eclipsa ended up forgetting about the Spider Bites meeting, and again, that's not a good quality of being queen. You want to remember these important things. Right now, Eclipsa just doesn't seem to care about what happens to the kingdom. She's just kind of like, oh, I'm queen now? Okay, cool. She's not like, oh, I'm queen now. I've actually got to do stuff to make sure that I stay queen and make sure that this kingdom actually survives. So those are some red flags about why Eclipsa is just not fit to be queen. I've probably said that so many times. You guys are probably like, yes, we get it. But it's just really important to notice. And I do think that at the end of the season, or sometime soon, there's going to be something happen where it's not exactly Eclipsa being queen anymore. And I'll get to that in either a future video, and then I'll kind of briefly talk about it here in a little bit. So Eclipsa confronts the Spider Bites, and we learn something pretty big. Globgor ate Shastacan, and we did hear a little bit about this in the Book of Spells, but from the Book of Spells, Eclipsa didn't let Globgor eat Shastacan. Now, obviously, some things changed, and he ended up doing so, but that's really big. That's something that we didn't know, and that's really big, because if Globgor is just going to go around eating people because, I don't know, he didn't like them, and because, I don't know, he was once Eclipsa's husband, and maybe, like, in order to do that, he had to die, I don't know, just things like that, it's kind of scary, and it's like, okay, I can see why these people are so scared now, because, I mean, Globgor maybe isn't actually so vegetarian like we thought. We don't know, because Eclipsa's been keeping these secrets. What other secrets has Eclipsa been keeping from us? And we don't know. Eclipsa technically is the Queen of Darkness, so yeah, we don't know if she's keeping any more secrets, what's going on there. We don't even know too much about Globgor and how he truly is like. We only know Eclipsa's persona of him. We don't know like anybody else's. And that might be why the Magic High Commission is so against Eclipsa and Globgor, because maybe they do know the truth and they're like, okay, yeah, these guys are actually pretty bad. So Eclipsa says, for the good of the kingdom, this is where he shall remain. And that's referring to like Eclipsa saying that Globgor is going to stay crystallized. Now, we don't actually know if that's going to be true or not, because Eclipsa obviously wanted to free Globgor, and I don't think her motives of freeing Globgor are gone. I think she's just saying that to reassure the Spider Bites and everybody that her main motive is not to free Globgor. And we can see close to the end, when Eclipsa says that she's trying to get the book back, Star immediately thinks that Eclipsa's searching for another way to free Globgor. And that's not a good sign. If people are starting to just not trust what you have to do, if they think your only motive is this one thing, that's not a good sign. And we can see Star's perspective on Eclipsa starts to change. Star has another piece of the Magic Book of Spells, but she did not tell Eclipsa. Globgor seemed to know about this because we got a shot of Globgor, and he looked kind of like, yeah, I know that Star has a piece, but I'm not going to say anything. But this is the slow move from Star just, trying to help Eclipsa out to the fullest, to her being more cautious. And I did bring this up in my swimsuit analysis, which again, you can go watch if you haven't already. And I do talk about this a lot in that episode, but even Star is going to start not trusting Eclipsa to the fullest. And that's really important, because what if Star ends up going against Eclipsa, being like, okay, look, you're not fit to be queen, I'm gonna take over for you, or somebody else is gonna take over for you. That's just the big things that we gotta think about and keep an eye out for, because those are kind of this whole theme of like who's gonna rule the kingdom, things like that. That's kind of like how this plot is right now. It's not really like, oh, there's a good and there's an evil, we have to find out where the evil is, destroy them. It's more of like, okay, we have this queen, and we have people who don't like this queen, what's gonna happen? And that's where the plot's driven right now, and some people don't like this kind of plot, some people do. But at the moment, Eclipsa's popularity, even with Star, is starting to go down. And that's really important to see, and I look forward to seeing the future episodes if Star starts being more disconnected with Eclipsa because of what she's doing and what her motives are. Especially since Star didn't know that Globgor ate Shastacan. Those are some big things that Star feels like Eclipsa is keeping from her, and nobody knows if Eclipsa is holding more secrets in her head that she needs to explain and get out. And Star's starting to fear Eclipsa, or from what it seems like, because, again, she's not bringing any of this stuff up. Now, Eclipsa claims that her motives for the book is to try to improve herself and to learn more spells that aren't only going to benefit herself, which is definitely good. That's something that we need to see from a queen, but again, this should be something that she should have done as a princess, not a queen. And I know she was just kind of forced into being queen because her mother died, so there wasn't really much. But right now, since she's queen, she can just give Star or Moon that title of queen and let her improve as a person. She doesn't have to be queen at this point in time, and that's just her biggest downfall right now, because again, she's just not ready for it yet. Now, in case you didn't know, the Book of Spells can actually be repaired. We learned that from the Book of Spells that we have. So if that's a surprise to you guys, then, I mean, it wasn't a surprise to me because, again, I read it in the Book of Spells. To some of you, I guess that would be a surprise. So, I mean, if you were wondering why I wasn't talking about it like it was this big point, it's because we already knew about it. So that's why it wasn't like this huge big thing for me. But looking back, the Monster Temple is filled with all of these things relating to Globgor. Most people, even Star, are starting to question Eclipsa. Moon doesn't trust Eclipsa. Glossaric doesn't trust Eclipsa. Or we don't know if Glossaric doesn't necessarily trust her. She just thinks that maybe it wasn't the right move to hand the crown over to Eclipsa. So overall, from what we've seen, Eclipsa is definitely not fit to be queen. She's trying to improve, and that's good. I don't necessarily think she's super evil at the moment, but as far as being queen, she's just not meant to be a queen. She can't handle the responsibilities at this point in time. She just has too much to think about, it seems like, and she's trying to do too many things at once, not to mention just her personality. She doesn't want to be somebody else, she wants to be herself, and that's something that she can't really do. To be the queen that the people want you to be, you have to be this, perfect mold queen, like Moon said, and that's just not something she wants to do, and that's her biggest problem at the moment. She needs to learn to adjust, and she needs to basically learn how to be queen, and I think she just needs to hand the crown over. She's not fit to be queen, and that's pretty much the main point of this video. So that's really it for this video. I know I was mainly just going through the points of why Eclipsa is not fit to be queen. I don't know why. I mean, anybody who's seen the episodes probably agrees with me on this, but I just felt like gathering all the points on why. This video ended up being super long, and I didn't expect it to be that long, but yeah. So if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Just even having this one really long video is still easier to make than having 4 separate videos, because they're just editing things, it takes a while. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.
Your guitar is made out of dead people, okay? So that doesn't feel normal for me, and it's not on brand with my show.